Welcome to this week's edition of Coach Prep. Coach Don and I are here in the Cherokee Batting Range podcast studio getting ready to record episode number 89 of Coach Prep. We've got a pretty cool episode today for you. We're going to talk about teaching kids how to run better, and not just base running, but just running better in general. Before we do that, let's talk about our sponsors, the Anderson Bat Company. Everything Fastpitch is very proud to have Anderson Bat Company as our presenting sponsor. Anderson Bat Company is using the latest and greatest bat technology to corner the market in the fast pitch world. They have the -9 Rocket Tech, the -10 Carbon, and the -11 Carbon Light. Anderson Bat Company is using this technology to put a high-performing bat in the hands of hitters that really know the difference between a good bat and a great bat. We're also working with Anderson to provide a discount for all of our listeners. Go to the Anderson Bat Company website and order your bats. Use the EFP20 discount, which is for everything fast pitch, and you'll get a 20% discount. It's a great way for you to save a little bit of money on a great bat and also help support everything fast pitch at the same time. And talk about patreon.com/everythingfastpitch. If you're in a position where you can help Coach Don and I with everything fast pitch and Coach Prep, we would really appreciate you becoming a patron. There's 3 different levels of support, $5, $10, and $20 a month. We are happy to have the patrons that we have. Their support is what's keeping this thing going and improving. We would certainly love to have more people come on board and support us. If you're in a position where you can, we would love for you to do that. Certainly do need the help.
Every little bit helps, right?
It's allowing us to continue to do things, to grow the podcast, and to reach more people. So, Don, number 89, I wanted to talk about running as a skill. So here's what I keep seeing. Kids that look like they are about ready to fall over, kids that are stumbling and bumbling, kids that are running on their heels, kids that look like that first step looks explosive and then they look like out of control.
It's like a painful movement.
Yeah. Well, what are those things that they have on the used car lots where they blow the wind up through them and they kind of like, their arms are flopping around and they're like all, dancing around those wind sock things. Too many kids look like that when they're running on the softball field to me. And I wanted us to talk about it today because I think it's something for us as coaches that we need to start thinking about and start paying attention to.
No, it's kind of interesting because it goes hand in hand, right? Everything we do in the game, kind of evolves around running and, obviously running, throwing, catching. But if we can be better and if we can use that as part of our coaching plan, I think that athletically we're going to have a better chance to have fun.
Something that made me think about this as a topic is I was working with a very young player the other day. I think she's 8. And mom and dad wanted her to work on her fielding a little bit. And so we were, just doing some, basic like ready position and stuff like that. And, we're fortunate that we've got a little field outside our facility that we can go out and do some outside stuff. So I figured, well, let's work on some pop flies, just tossing her little pop-ups. She was catching the ones when they were pretty close to her consistently. Like every one that was in like a 3 or 4 foot range of where she was standing, she caught every one of them. So I started getting pretty confident. It's like, well, she does, she's doing a really good job. We started working on her running to catch the ball. It was like the craziest thing ever. This kid who looked so steady and so rock solid, moving just a little bit to catch the ball, now that she was running, was missing the ball badly.
Comfort became discomfort.
Yeah, and after a couple seconds, a couple of tries, I was really starting to wonder. And I said, so I called her over and I said, so let me ask you a question. What's so different now? And she looked at me and said, Coach Torrey, which one of those balls do you want me to catch?
Eyeballs are bouncing.
And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, when I'm running after it, it looks like there's like 5 softballs up there. And I'm reaching for the one I think is the ball, but I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to catch.
Right.
And that's when it dawned on me that how these kids run and things that they're doing. Then all of a sudden I tossed her another one and I really noticed it then. I thought something looked a little bit uncoordinated. Every time she ran, she was landing so hard on her heels that her whole body was shaking when she was running.
There's a whole technique to this story, right?
Right. And so that's when it dawned on me. It's like, okay, well, let's spend a couple times, let's just try running without the ball. As soon as we started, breaking it down a little bit and having her run a little bit, then run, then reach, and kind of adding in the softball skills, as soon as we started off thinking about just running first, her running got a little bit better, but it was still kind of herky-jerky, kind of rough. But so we started talking about, well, if you run on the balls of your feet, if you land soft, if you do these kinds of things, you're going to be more in control. 3 minutes later, 5 minutes later, those balls that before she couldn't figure out which one to catch, she was catching quite a few of them. Now, she still didn't catch them all. I mean, she went from 0 for 10 to 7 out of 10. So I thought, hey, this is nice progress. But it made me think about, one of the most fundamental athletic parts of our game that I don't know that we spend enough time paying attention to it.
No, I think there's a technique too, like for outfielders, obviously they're running a little bit more for balls, but to try and keep your eyes at a steady level, or you watch some animals when they run really fast, their heads are completely still, even though their bodies are in motion. And
Yeah.
I think that we're searching for some kind of blend or mix there where the athlete's eyes are staying really quiet and still, yet they're still moving as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah. And so one of the things that I would recommend for all of our coaches is to do a little bit of research to make sure that you're at least familiar enough with running form and running technique that you can do some stuff on a regular basis in practice. Part of your pregame routine, part of your warm-up routine, some form running, some high knees, some quick feet, some speed and agility kinds of things. And honestly, even just some run as fast as you can type training to just get kids more comfortable with running and being athletic while they're doing it.
So I know even as we're running, you can pick a fixed item or a fixed piece. It might be the yard marker for the foul line or a foul pole or, anything that's staying still. And as you're running, you want to try and keep that piece still in your vision if you can. So there's things you can do to practice for sure, and then go with the moving object after that.
Yeah, but I think, again, whether it's YouTube or a professional trainer, there's lots of resources available to us where we can learn a little bit more and help kids work on it. So one of the things that I would incorporate into any practice is obviously part of your pre-practice routine is stretching and some sort of agility work, some sort of dynamic stretching where the kids are doing their butt kicks and their high knees and things like that. Is let's add in just some basic form running where the arms are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that the legs are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that the knees are getting high, that the feet are getting up off the ground and not shuffling, that we're teaching kids to run on the balls of their feet. We're teaching them how to change direction. Those kinds of things that I think would really pay off in the softball world. And again, some of this comes back to, when we were kids, a long time ago, before we had iPhones and video games and stuff like that, that just running around the neighborhood was an activity that we did just to do it, and playing all kinds of crazy tag games and kick the can and relievio and all these different kinds of things where you were just running around like a crazy person made it more natural for us to get better at something as simple as running. Whereas I think some softball players, the only time they run is when they show up at softball practice. And for some of them, they're spending so much time working on the skills that we never really work on some of the technique. As something as simple as running on the balls of your feet, not letting your heels crash every time.
Kids don't run around in the neighborhoods anymore, Tori.
No. Well, I know nowadays we're afraid to let our kids more than 3 feet out of our sight most of the time. So, the idea of, running around in the neighborhood just playing.
I'm in that club.
Yeah.
I know.
So I understand that it's a little bit more challenging. So that now for us as coaches, we've got to build that into what we're doing and what we're teaching. You'd like to think that, when you get ready to plan your practices for the week or for the day, how kids run shouldn't be number one on your list. But I think specifically for younger players, but definitely for all players, let's incorporate some running technique stuff, hide it in we want you to be faster, we want you to be more athletic, we want you to be quicker, we want you to be able to cut better, we want you to be able to change direction better. But I think there's a way for us to incorporate running as a skill into what we're doing so we can be more skilled at it.
No doubt. No, there's all kinds of fun little extra activities we can do. Yeah.
And when you have a player, no matter what her age, if she's struggling to track that ball when she's running, let's really pay attention. And you might want to ask her the question of what is happening, why she's not seeing that ball into her glove at the end. And my guess is an older player is going to have a better answer than my little girl had the other day about admitting she couldn't tell which one of the balls she was supposed to catch. But my guess is that that's part of what's happening for a lot of kids.
No, there's no doubt. And we've all experienced it. I've been running for a ball and you see it's bouncing in your vision.
Right.
You're a little bit too heavy on your feet.
Well, and sometimes it's, it could still even happen to a skilled player. Maybe you're on a field that's a little bit rough. Maybe there's a little uphill that you didn't expect. You're running after the ball and all of a sudden, the grade changes a little bit and where you were gliding right along, feeling really athletic, all of a sudden you're like digging in. And so I think there's lots of reasons why it can happen, but I think if we can practice it more, get better at it as a fundamental, I think we're going to be a whole lot better softball players for it.
Good topic again, Tori. Yeah.
All right, Don. So anything else for 89?
No. Exciting week. We're going to have a lot more college ball coming and
all kinds of crazy stuff here as we head down the home stretch. Please check out our sponsors, Anderson Bat Company and patreon.com/everythingfastpitch. For Coach Don McKinley and our producer, Stan Lewis, this is Coach Tori in the Cherokee Batting Range Podcast Studio saying thanks for listening to number 89, and we'll talk to you again next week.